My name's Greg with Greg's Guide Service, Greg Robinson. I'm from Fayetteville, Arkansas, and I've been invited down to Mississippi to the Riders Conference. And anyway, we got down here Friday afternoon, and we're at the end. We're following a major cold blast that went all the way across the United States, pretty much. And we drove with snow and stuff, and got down here in Mississippi to an area on Lake Washington that hardly ever sees snow. So these fish were up in the shallow water. Water was in the 50s. We got down here Monday and about noon, and actually the water had melted enough, ice had melted enough where we could actually put our boats in and fish. With that being said, I started out thinking that the fish has moved out. The water temperature went from the mid 50s, low 50s to 36, I think is the coldest I've seen, 37, 39. And so we got out and we tried live scoping and doing some single pole fishing, similar to what I'm doing now, but without the cork. And the deal is those fish, as soon as we dropped that down on their nose, they just was not interested. And they were real sluggish, and we just couldn't get the bite. So Tuesday morning, then we come out, we fish, and the water temperature that day had warmed up to 44 degrees by the time we quit fishing. And we got out here the next morning, and it dropped back down in the high 30s, it was 38, 39. And it got a little colder that night than what we thought it was going to get. So then we did that, and we spider rigged. And man, it was still at spider rigging. We had to go very, very, very slow, marking a few fish in that 6 to 7 foot of water, 5. And but again, we caught some fish, but it was a very slow day. Come out that afternoon, we did the same thing. We spider rigged. The bite got just a little bit better, but the water only got up to around 42 degrees. And at the same token, we had some color to the water. I guess that was from the ice melting. So then this morning, yesterday afternoon, I started to seeing the fish were relating a little bit more. In the afternoon, they're getting a little bit more shallower. So with a lot of thought process and stuff last night and talking to some of the other people and that sort of thing, I came up with the source that I was going to spider rig this morning, but my game plan was to spider rig would drop down to, what my game plan turned out being is I dropped down to 2 posts, and I went from double rigs to just a single jig, dropped down to an 1/8-ounce jig, and tipped with a minnow, and we got in here in this timber, and we got into the shallow water. We're fishing anywhere from 4 to 2.5 foot of water, and we've caught several fish today. Started that doing this morning. That bite has progressively gotten a little tougher with the cloud cover coming in. So this afternoon we've come back in. The fish are being skittish, so I went to the jig and bobber method. We're fishing anywhere from 3 to 2 foot deep, so we've got these bobbers and jigs tipped with a minnow, sitting at about 18 inches to 2 foot deep, and we're dropping down on those fish, and those fish are coming up very slowly. So what's happened on this is, and I got to thinking as well, these males, we're catching mostly males this afternoon and this morning. So what had happened is the males had moved up in here to prepare on the pre-spawn and getting their staging ready for spawning, and the females are still holding out in deeper water, and they're still being very sluggish, can't hardly get them to bite. So I've moved in. These fish did not leave this shallow water like I thought they would with the major cold front. So that's where I finally came up with a game plan to come into the shallow water and dip right straight down on these fish. This morning they're a little bit more aggressive. We could move around a little bit more and get on them. This afternoon they're really spooky, and so we're just drop jigging right down by these cedars, and we're picking them up here and there. So.